Today we are diving into one of the most incredible yet totally common abilities of the human mind. Seriously, it's a superpower that you use every single day and you probably don't even give it a second thought. Just think about it for a sec. Have you ever found yourself completely lost in a memory? I'm talking about the feeling of the sun on your face from that one vacation, or the exact words someone said to you years ago. You're not just remembering a fact, right? You're reliving it. And what about looking forward? Do you ever play out a tough conversation in your head before it happens? Thinking about what you're going to say, how they might react? Or maybe you visualized step by step how you're going to nail that big project next week. Well, if you've done any of that, you've tapped into something truly profound. These aren't just little daydreams. Nope. They are proof that your brain has this amazingly powerful tool built right in. So what do we call this thing? Well, scientists have a name for it: mental time travel. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's what lets us navigate our lives by taking these little mental trips to our own personal past and our imagined futures. Two researchers, Thomas Suddendorf and Michael Corballis, were pioneers in this. They defined it as our ability to mentally reconstruct personal events, that's your episodic memory, and to imagine possible future scenarios, which they called episodic foresight. It's basically a two-way time machine, all inside your head. Let's break that down a little. The part that travels to the past, episodic memory, has this cool feature called autonoetic consciousness. It just means self-knowing. You don't just recall that you went to a concert, you feel like you're back there in the crowd. But what's really wild is that the future-facing part, episodic foresight, uses the exact same brain system to build worlds that haven't even happened yet. I love this analogy from the researchers. They call it a theater in the mind. It's like your brain is a stage and you're the director, staging scenes from your past and blocking out scenes for your possible future. Now, this whole ability feels so, well, human, doesn't it? And that raises a really big question. Are we the only ones in this club? So can other animals do this? Can a dog remember its best day ever with that same I am there feeling? Can a chimpanzee truly plan for a future it can't see or feel yet? This is, and I'm not kidding, one of the hottest debates in animal science. For a long, long time, the main idea was something called the Bischoff-Kohler hypothesis. Basically, it says animals are stuck in the now. They're driven only by their current feelings. So, an animal won't look for water unless it's thirsty right now because it can't imagine being thirsty tomorrow. But then, experiments like this one with the western scrub jay came along and just blew that old idea up. Check this out. The birds learned that the tasty worms they loved would go bad overnight, but nuts wouldn't. So when they knew breakfast was going to be slim pickings the next day, what they do? They very specifically hid the nuts for later, anticipating future hunger and the fact that their other food would spoil. I mean, that looks an awful lot like planning, doesn't it? And we've seen similar things with great apes saving tools to use later. But even with all this evidence, some scientists still argue it could just be a super complex learned behavior, not true mental time travel. So for now, the jury's still out. Okay, so whether we're the only ones or not, how in the world does our brain even pull this off? Let's pop the hood and look at the actual machinery behind our mental time machine. Researchers have actually found a core network of brain regions that all fire up and work together to make this happen. You've got some all-stars in there, like the hippocampus, which is famous for memory, and parts of the prefrontal cortex, which is like the brain CEO in charge of planning and decisions. And here is the part that just blows my mind. When scientists put people in brain scanners and ask them to either remember something from their past or imagine something in their future, the exact same network lights up. Think about that. Your brain uses the same toolkit to rebuild what was as it does to build what could be. They're two sides of the very same coin. But hold on, the story doesn't stop there, because this mental time machine has another, even crazier function. It doesn't just visit the past, it can actually rewrite it. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's called episodic counterfactual thinking. All it means is our ability to take a real memory and simulate a different version. This is the engine of what if. What if I'd said yes? What if I'd turned left instead of right? So how do you even study that? Well, researchers at Harvard got pretty clever. They put people in an fMRI scanner, had them recall real memories from their own lives, and then asked them to imagine how the same events could have gone differently. And what they found in those brain scans was just wow. When a person imagined a plausible, a likely what-if scenario, the brain activity looked almost identical to the activity for a real, actual memory. That suggests that to our brains, a plausible alternate past feels almost as real as what actually happened. The line between what was and what could have been is way blurrier than we think. Okay, so this is a really cool brain trick for sure, but so what? Why does it even matter? Well, it turns out this ability is at the core of almost everything we do. Mental time travel lets us guess how something in the future might make us feel, which helps us make way better choices. It's the foundation for all our complex plans, whether that's planning dinner or planning a whole career. And maybe most importantly, by weaving together our past memories and our future dreams, it creates the story of who we are, our very sense of self. And its impact is even bigger than that. Like the original researchers wrote, this ability to think about where we came from and where we're going, that's the very stuff that gives rise to culture, to religion, to science itself. It's a huge part of what makes us, us. So you are walking around with an incredibly powerful simulation engine in your head. It can rebuild the past so you can learn from it, and it can build an infinite number of futures for you to aim for. So the only real question is, what are you going to ask it to imagine next?